Hi everyone. In our previous video, I did show how to create a VPC, and in that video, we created the demo VPC, and we also went further by creating the demo public subnet. In this video, I'm going to be showing how to create an internet gateway and having that internet gateway associated with our route table. All right, so here I'm going to be creating an internet gateway. If you look at the orange tab in the right-hand corner, this is where you create an internet gateway. So you click create internet gateway. Here, we're going to give our internet gateway a name, just like you're giving it a tag. Here, I'm going to use demo dash internet gateway as a name. Then I'm leaving that as a tag as well. And I'm going to create the internet gateway. So if you noticed, right now the internet gateway is created, but you can see the state is detached. So what I'm going to do is to attach an internet gateway to our route table. So if I go back here, there's another way you could see right now. You could attach to VPC if you want. We could do that from here. So the VPC that is going to be available is probably going to be the VPC we have created, which is the demo VPC. So I have that. Then I can attach the internet gateway. Click attach. So right now you can see the state here. Our internet gateway is now attached to our VPC, and we should be able to access our VPC from the internet. On the route table, if you noticed that we had a default route table created at the time we created our internet gateway, our VPC. So I'll go one step further by going to our route table. Right now, you could see that we only have the local destination as of this point. So I'm going to add or edit and add a new route to our route table. So this time I want to add from anywhere, then I want to add it to the internet gateway. So I'm simply saying I want network from anywhere to our internet gateway. Then I'll save my change. Let me see. Sorry. Then save my change. All right. So right now, what we've just done is to associate our internet gateway to our route table. So if you could see right here, our internet gateway, which is the destination network from anywhere to our internet gateway. Now we've created an internet gateway, and we also have subnet created. Right now we have just one subnet. Like I stated before in our other video, we can add multiple subnets. We could have two private subnet and two public subnet in the different availability zone. But in this video, I'm only going to be showing, I'm going to be doing the exercise with just one subnet, right? So right now we have the subnet created, we have a VPC created, then we can go forward with creating a security group, right? Now, if we come down, on that security group, Right now we have multiple other security group that we have. Some are default, then there were a few ones that I created before. So I'm going to create a new security group just for the demo project. So demo, call this demo that security group. Now I can just take that and put that in the description. It's optional, but I always like to do that. Then in our security group, we have to be able to choose a VPC for our security group. So right now, we do have our own VPC that we want to choose. So you can we can pick the demo VPC that we just created before in our last video. I'm going to pick that. Then I can also add some inbound rules to the security group. Right now, all traffic is allowed, but I want to add some inbound rules so that way traffic is allowed from at least we can SSH to our instance. So I can pick that of the SSH. By default, port 22 will be picked, and I'm saying that will be from my IP. I can say from my IP, or I can say from anywhere, but that's fine. I'd like to use my IP for that. Then I can add another rule for HTTP that will allow our security group to be able to allow access from port 80 from anywhere or any IPv4. So any IPv4, right? So these are the two rules that I stated. One is the SSH, the other is the HTTP. The outbound rule, you don't need to do anything with that. That's internal traffic. So we'll leave that as is. Then we'll create a security group. So right now we have our security group created. We have our VPC created, subnet created, route table created, internet gateway created. So we are all set to create our instance. Now, the essence of this exercise is to show how you can create a VPC, create a subnet, create a route table, create a subnet, create an internet gateway, associate the internet gateway to your route table, and also associate the route table to your VPC, right? Then we end up creating a security group that we're going to use should we launch an instance using our VPC. So right now, everything is all set for us to go launch an instance. So in the EC2 dashboard, if you go to your services under EC2, here we can launch an instance. Right now, I already have one instance running. I can decide to launch an additional instance. So what I'm going to do is to go with the launch instance tab that is right here, and I'll pick that to launch an instance. Then we can pick a name for our instance. So right now I'm going just to use the demo dash instance. Use the demo dash instance. Then I'll give it a tag just to have that. Then I'm only going with one instance in this case. If you come down, we're going to pick an AMI for the instance we're creating. AMI is an Amazon machine image. In this case, we're going to use Amazon Linux as the default AMI that we're going to use. Then coming down here, you can see the AMI ID is right here, and it's that of the free tier. Then let's leave that as that of the free tier. I'm not going to choose. I'm not going to change that. Then under the instance type, this is really important here. The instance type, we're using the T2 micro, and it's also free tier eligible. Then with the key pair is a way for us to be able to access our instance. I have several other key pairs created. I'm going to just pick the one that I created before instead of creating a new one. Then under the network settings, remember we've already created our VPC. We've done some other pre-setup before we started creating our instance. So right now, we are going to use the VPC that we created before. What I will do is to go to edit mode. Instead of using the default VPC, I'm going to pick the VPC that we created, which is the demo VPC. I'm picking that. If you noticed, the VPC that we created before does have just one subnet, which is the demo public subnet. You see that. So there's just one. So we're picking that to use with our instance build. And on the firewall or the security rule, under the security group, you could notice I have the option to create a new security group. But if you remember, we already had a security group created. I'm going to pick that. Under the security group, use existing security group, I'm going to go for the one that we created before. You can see it right here. Is demo SG. I'll pick that. Then we could look to see the advanced tab just to see what is in there. I'm not going to change more stuff there. So right now we have our subnet picked, we have our security group picked, and auto assign public IP. We want to enable that so that way we're able to access web deploy in the internet, over the internet. If I go down a bit, then this is the volume 8 GB. I think that is okay for what we want to do. By default, we'll pick 8 GB, that's fine. And under the advanced details, there are options for us to, use user data. Right now, you can see we could put in a bash script in here for any deployment I want to do, and that will be built alongside with the EC2 build. So let's just recap again. I'll go back up on what we've done so far. We picked a name for our EC2 instance. We call that demo instance. Then coming all the way down, we picked an AMI. In this case, we're using the free tier eligible AMIs. Then we pick the T2 micro as the instance type. Key pair, I didn't create a new one because I already had a key pair, so I decided to go with my existing key pair. Then under the network, I resolved to using the VPC that we created in our first video, and also with using the subnet that we also created in our first video. Then I did enable public IP. So that way, when we deploy a web application and that web application is accessible over the internet. So on that security group, I'm going with created security group, the one we created just when we started this video. So that's what I'm using. You can see the name is demo SG. So we will go a step further just to show how the user data works, right? I have a bash script that will deploy a static website. I'm going to put that in here just to see how all of this will work. If I go to my Visual Studio Code, I already have this prepared already, where I can just copy this code. I can copy this code and have that placed in my user data location. So what this would do, this would get an HTML template from the web. It would deploy that template to because I'm using RPM machine, which is the Amazon Linux. So it's just going to do the download of the template, unzip it, then copy all of the files into this location where we can have that displayed using HTTPD. Right, so my user data is all set, and I'm ready to launch my instance. So I'll click launch instance, and to take a few minutes, the instance is already launched. Let's go view our instance. This button will take us to view our instance. So right now we have the demo instance here. It's still pending. It's going to go through the initialization stage before the instance is fully ready. So right now it's running, but you could still see this is initializing right here. So let's give it a couple of more minutes for the instance to fully initialize. If you look at the details, right now we have a public IP that we can use and check that over the internet. And again, we can also connect using SSH to this instance. I will probably show how that is going to be done. If you notice, for the security group we have created, the one we're using, demo SG, if you remember, I enabled HTTP through port 80, and also we are using SSH through port 22. So those two will allow me to access our instance uh, uh, via the internet, and also I can SSH to that instance. So I'm just going to give it a couple of more minutes here for the initialization to complete. Let's give it a couple of more minutes. So right now, it's just trying to do its health check, just to be sure that the instance is healthy before we can start to access it. So while we're waiting for these to initialize, a couple of things that we can also do. Now that we have this demo instance built and is ready to go, we can also create our own AMI from this instance, meaning we'll create a template, create the AMI and relaunch that, to create a new instance, then use load balancer to balance the load between the two instances that will be created. If you notice here, we have the option. Right now, we don't have any AMI. We can go forward by creating a new AMI. Then we can create a target group, then also use a load balancer to, direct traffic to either of the instance and set all of the parameters that we need. But for this video, I only want to uh, demo the aspect of the internet gateway build and the EC2 instance build, which we are now waiting for the complete build. It's still initializing, so probably it's running the batch scripts that I had introduced under the user data. Give it some couple more minutes here. Let me see if I can pause the video while we are waiting for the build to complete. Okay, so right now, I paused the video a little bit, and if we refresh this again to see if everything is up passed, you could see the health check is passed, and we can now go copy the public IP, go to our web browser, open a web page, then let's put that in and hit enter. Right now, you see we're able to deploy our static website using the VPC that we created in our first video, following through with the creation of a new EC2 instance and having our user data to deploy the code that we use in building this static website. So that is all done. So in the next video, I'm going to be showing how we can create an AMI and using target group and load balancer to redeploy, this instance, meaning to scale this instance, from one instance to maybe multiple. So I'll say stay tuned for that video, and we'll put it out as soon as we have time to create it. But right now, you could see we've already created the EC2 instance. Right now, there's a public IP. And when you go to a web page, you put that IP right on the web page, we can display the static website that we created. And also, just to show, we can actually connect to that instance as well. If you pick up the SSH key, I take that, and let's pick that up, copy that. Then if I pull up my Git batch, for example, let me put my Git batch here, right? I can, let's put that there, let's paste what we had in our clipboard right now. So I'm going to SSH to the EC2 instance, which is, you see the IP right, that we have for our EC2 instance. I can SSH to that and put yes there. And right now I'm in the EC2 instance that we just created. I can CD to the var location where we have our HTML template deployed to. That HTML. So if I ls-la here, you could see the HTML file that we deployed. Everything is there on the instance. So yeah, we can access it via SSH on the web. Also, you notice we're able to display a static website on the web, and at the same time, we have EC2 instance running and healthy. So you could check the security, the network, the storage is good, monitoring as well. As soon as we start getting traffic, then you can see that the monitoring will start building up. All right, so this is where I cut the video for today. And I'll say thank you for your time, and thank you for watching the video. See you next time.